I make jewelry, body adornment. I work in precious metal as silver and gold. I like to work with sparkly stones. The sparklier the better in some cases. Yeah, I would say that my spectrum is pretty wide. I love wedding rings. I think that's one of the most pleasurable things to make. I work mainly in the spectrum of rings and earrings and pendants, bracelets, the traditional jewelry, goldsmithing work. I wanted to be a jeweler, but I'm born in the middle of the last century. Sounds very old, doesn't it, when you say it like that? That was when the industrial period really set in the jewelry trade, and I couldn't get an apprenticeship as a jeweler. I could make chains or rings and renovate them, clean them up from casting, and put them together, and that was not really very exciting. I grew up in Jutland, in the countryside, and I would have had to go to Copenhagen, which was a little bit of too big of a step for me at the young, tender age of 17. So I went to art school and worked with clay and worked with sculpture and found the pottery wheel was really where I found my joy, my mojo, and I started potting very seriously. And the influence there was Bernard Leach and Shoei Hamada, England, Japan, and with the glazes and the tradition, and made me have a dream of going to Japan, where I ended up in '76. And went back to California, and that was where I met this New Zealander with a moustache. And we fell in love, but it wasn't really the time for us to be together. And which first happened 20 years ago. So we both have a family of 3 daughters behind us, with us. I moved to New Zealand 20 years ago. The time when I lived in Japan, I really got very keen on the fans, and it's sort of, and this goes back to 1976. It's a texture that I really like, and well, there's a lot of symbolic in fans, as it's used to cool yourself, it's used to hide behind, it's used to show off. And it can be, in the Japanese society, they have a lot more significance as it do for us. I was living solely from potting for about 10 years. It's a lot of pots. So I've done my duty as a production artist. And that's one thing that I luckily have not had to be in New Zealand as a jeweler. That I can support my jewelry by my teaching is a bless, which means that I don't have to produce a lot of items that I can sell. I think as one thing is, of course, the passion and the want to, really wish to work with your art, with your craft, learn it, and also the lifestyle and a little bit insecurity about where your money is coming from. Because sometimes you have money and other times you don't sell anything and then you don't have the money. So you have to be brave and want to live a little bit on the unsecure side and have the belief that you can make your money and find ways you can do it. Some contemporary artists are working in cafes. Some of my students are working to support their artistic journey. Some will make it strictly from their artwork, but as a lot of them will have to support their art. As I have supported my art through teaching and been so lucky that I have had that possibility. And there is this old saying, you have to be careful what you wish for, because you might get it. This bracelet here is cast, which means that it was made in wax, so it's fabricated in wax. And I made some patterns into it with my fingers, and then I'm gonna set in these opals to in gold, and then they're going to be sitting in this bracelet. I'm going to be making it dark colored black around the edges and shine it up so it becomes silver shiny in the center. When you work creatively, and the more you do in a way, the more ideas you get. As you're never empty for ideas. As it doesn't happen. So you work on a piece, you develop that piece. Maybe you're making 6 or 8 within that theme. So you start as a drawing, or you, in my case now, I might be sitting playing with my stones, and thinking about how I can build on things. For example, this ring, which came about. Piece of jade, for example, was half a piece that I got from Don Salt that's been lying on my workbench for probably about 8 years. And then with my students, they were doing lockets, and then I made that. And then I was thinking, okay, because in New Zealand we are working a lot with your inheritance, and I was thinking, if I had to talk about a inheritance that was mine, from Denmark. What did I grow up with? What is the symbol that is most significant, for example, as for me, as a Dane? And I came with a cross. It's not that I am particularly Christian, as I am because I was born Christian. You belong to the church when you're born and baptized. In my generation, most people was baptized. And you pay tax to the church. The church is part of your society, and the cross has always been a fascinating symbol for me. And the churches with their art, their sculpture, their jewels. I think it's exquisite in the European churches. It's just overwhelmingly wealthy with golds and stones. And I have been working recently with a fan series, which then comes way back from my time in when I was in Japan. Is basically where that idea originated, or the work with the fan somehow has always been lying in the back of my mind. It has a little bit of a link to the church again with the priest's collar, and I want to do a priest's collar one day in silver, coming out, sticking out. So maybe I'll make it, maybe I won't. But as you know, how do you make your own footprint on your work? You have it; it's in you. If you have the passion for it, if you have if you like to draw, if you like to paint, if you like to sculpt, and you don't even know if you like to express yourself in another media because you haven't tried it, it doesn't matter. You'll find out, or you'll try them all, and then see which one you would put the most energy into and become good at.